Hi,
Well, hello.
how are you?
I'm doing fine now.
Yeah, I was peeking in from my other account.
Oh, I was like,
Just a habit. I was being nosy.
oh, no worries. But I have to say, it's such an honor to sit here and talk to you.
What? No,
No.
I'm honored. Thank you for the invite. What's funny is when you asked me, I was actually going to ask you.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
yes, but you asked me first, and I didn't want to say, well, I was actually going to ask you and just go into a long story like that. So, but I'm happy that you
Mhm.
did ask.
Oh. Well, here we are. Here we are right now. It's just the way you take everyday things and make them your own, and especially with horror, and that's just so awesome.
Well, thank you so much. So like you, I'm a huge horror fan, and I just like to be surrounded around it. And sometimes when you're even watching a Disney movie or a drama or a comedy, you just see the horror in it. So
Mhm.
it's just a habit.
That's why I say horror is all around us. You
Absolutely.
just have to open your eyes. So
And I see
today,
some,
oh, go ahead.
oh,
I'm
just real
sorry.
quick, I'm sorry. I just see some people saying hi. So hi, everybody.
Hello. Like for me, it's like for some reason it's so small and then it goes away. It's the weirdest thing. So, um, hello everybody who's joining us and who keeps joining. Hello. The real queen of horror here. And today we're gonna talk about. I was trying to think of a topic that I thought like, okay, what can you do? Because there's so many topics, but I just thought paranormal or supernatural or whatnot.
Yeah.
And I was like, the top 5, because there's so many movies we could talk about probably all night to the next day to the next day. So I was like, okay, how about our top 5 paranormal movies? I didn't put supernatural, but I should have put supernatural, and it covers so many things. But
Right,
hey,
right.
we all get it. We all get it. So we don't know each other's top 5. So I think that's what's really going to be very funny and interesting about this. So I was
Right,
thinking we
right.
should start with our top 5, but the bottom, and then work our way to
Okay.
the top.
I have some extra ones just in case if we do have some the same.
Hmm.
And I kind of cheated because some I just thought you only meant like paranormal, and then I realized like with the first set that I had, like my list, it was more supernatural. And so I was getting so frustrated. And I was like, okay, let me rearrange some things, and then I went back. But okay, so I'll start with number 5. So
Okay.
number 5 is Jamie Marx's Dead. So
Okay.
this one is paranormal with supernatural, and I watched it like 3 years ago, and I just cannot stop thinking about it. It is such a morbid but still like touching storyline.
Hmm.
And if you haven't seen the movie, don't watch the trailer, just watch the movie. I've noticed that some people, they'll say that it's like a drama, they don't feel like it's a horror, but it's like, okay, relax. Horror comes in all types of forms. So
Hmm.
I do feel like it is like a drama horror. And
Okay.
it's a favorite of mine just because it's super honestly haunting and so effective. Because again, I went in blind, I knew nothing about it, and
Hmm.
again, I watched it 3 years ago, so I still think about it often.
What was the title again?
Jamie Marks is Dead. So
You know,
it's
I've
about
never heard of that.
no, so
I must be out of touch.
no. You know what? It's a very independent movie. Well, I don't want to say it's independent, but when I was looking it up earlier, I saw that it really didn't have like a lot of reviews. So
Mm.
maybe the marketing, wasn't like put out there enough, but it's basically about like this high school student. He befriends like the ghost of this like socially awkward classmate who's been murdered or supposedly murdered. Like they
Hmm.
find him in the woods, and they just have this bond. So
Hmm. Okay.
yeah.
Hmm. But you know what? A lot of movies like that doesn't have a lot of advertisement and stuff like that, turn out to be really good. But
Yeah.
advertising your movies is just is expensive. I mean, just getting out there, or a commercial or a poster, that stuff adds up. And some people just don't have it. They spend all their money into the film. They forget you gotta have money to promote the film. So that does happen often. Okay, so let's see. It was hard because, like I said, it was this whole supernatural, and I was like, shoot, I should have said top 5 supernatural. But then I looked up, looked up paranormal, and it's kind of like,
yeah, they're like.
It's like supernatural, and then there's all these little branches that I was reading, and I was like, okay, so they all go together. I don't know why they put it that way. So for me, my top 5, I chose House on Haunt. House on Haunt. Wait.
because I thought that you were doing it for suspense.
No, I was okay, because I watched both, and I was like, I was trying to choose something a little bit more campy, fun, like know, because there's so many. So I changed my mind. So I'm gonna choose House on Haunted Hill, 1999 version. I was gonna choose the 1959, but then after I watched it for the second time, I was like, I don't know. I love the movie, but as far as like paranormal or supernatural, it didn't have the elements I was looking for, and I'm gonna choose the remake that came out in 1999. And I saw that in a theater, and it scared the crap out of me when it first came out. But for those who don't know, House on Haunted Hill, it's basically a marriage, a couple, a husband and wife, and you could tell they're just at each other's throats, and they have she wants to have a birthday party, but it became a little bit more strange, and they have it in a abandoned, supposed to be haunted asylum. And in the beginning of the movie, you kind of see what happens to the asylum. So I'm trying not to give too much away, because if you say something, it actually gives it all away. You say the first beginning. So it's one of those movies, you have to watch it. It's really funny. It kind of mirrors the original, but there is some elements, obviously the effects and things like that, and the story has changed, how they got there, but they do have the coffins, with weapons, and I'm gonna say weapon. I'm not gonna say what it is, but in this asylum, it is they supposed to be haunted, but things started happening, and there's a love triangle. It really is haunted. Things happen, murders, weird things. See, I can't really say too much about it.
No,
but
right.
It's just one of those films, you have to watch it. A lot of people during that time, it did get a bad rap a little bit, like, oh, this is stupid, whatever. But it actually is really good if you think about it. It has that I don't know if you ever seen magazines or books of old asylums, and just that medical scariness about it, body parts, things like that. It's not really gory at all. It's just more of the creep factor, because the ghosts are lurking and you're not sure. But if you've seen Scary Movie, it probably gave it away. Scary Movie 2, it probably gave it a lot away. But definitely House on Haunted Hill, number 5 for me, 1999 version. So
that is such a good one. Like, I recently rewatched the original one, like you, and it's very campy, but I don't know, it just holds like a special place in my heart. And then even with the 99 version, like you, that one scared me so bad.
There is a creep factor to it. I can't explain it, but if you're into that medical, or you find that creepy, and then like when the ghost was walking, and it's like they're like jiggling and moving. I don't know. My acting skills are terrible, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, like a twitchy. They're like a twitchiness or something crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I saw that in the theater, and it was packed. So yeah, it's worth watching.
Okay.
So.
Number 4. Okay, so For those of you who are just joining us, so my number 5
Yep.
was Jamie Marcus Dead.
Mm-hmm.
So number 4, I'm going to go with The Frighteners from 1996. And
Wow.
I
Okay.
really love this movie. Plus, I had to have like a comedy horror on the list.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I watched this when it first came out. I think I was like in 3rd grade, and I was so obsessed with it. Like the characters, the way it was designed, like that whole world. Like I wanted to be able to do that too. So for those of you who don't know, it's basically about this guy after his wife is killed in a car accident. He discovers that he can communicate with the dead, and he doesn't really want to help people. So instead, he just starts conning people. But then this kind of like spirit, and the spirit's kind of, there's no nice way of putting it. Like, he doesn't really care at first. But then there's like this spirit. It's like a demonic type of spirit that appears and like carves numbers on people's heads. He realizes he may be the only one who can stop it from killing actual people, and it actually can kill the dead. So it's just such a fun movie, and I don't really feel like a lot of people talk about it enough. Not that people don't like it. I just think sometimes it just kind of falls in the cracks.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I saw that movie once, and it was when it came out. As you can see how old I am.
Are you not a fan?
So I've seen it once. And it's like I remember it, and then I don't remember.
Right. It's been a while.
But like you said, no one talks about it. You're the first person in probably months months, maybe a year or so that I've ever heard say that again. Like, seriously.
Wow.
There's a lot of in the crack movies.
Yeah, that should be a list, in the crack movies. Like,
next time, girl. Next time.
That's what we're doing.
So my number 4, I wasn't too sure because, like I said, I have such a long list. But I really did love this film. It really is my top. It's more supernatural, but it all the same at this point. So it is It Follow. It follows. Let me tell you about that movie there. I absolutely loved it because it's not original. I mean, I've seen movies where things get passed along, but it's usually some kind of virus, like cabin fever or something like that. But this one was way different. So in the beginning of the film, we see this woman, she's just standing, she's standing outside, and they're like, what's going on? And you see her run around. She's like running, and the camera's like following her, and we can't see anything, but whatever's chasing her, she can see it. She runs in the house. She grabs, I guess, her keys and purse or whatever, jumps in the car, takes off, and then you see her at the beach, and she's just, the car lights are on, and she's just sitting alone, and we're kind of like, well, what's going on? And then it goes to the next scene, and she's in the most horrible condition, and you're just like, what the hell happened? Like, it left you with no clue of what happened or what did this. And then you meet these like high school, I'm assuming they're high school kids, and they're like a bunch of friends. And so she meets this guy. One of the girls meets this guy, and they on the date, and then he begins to see things and talk about things there, and she's like, I don't see anything. He's like, oh, time to go. So it kind of still a bit ambiguous. Like, you're like, what's going on? And then they make whoopee in the car. And then she's like in her fantasy world, oh, I'm so in love. And then, he like drugs her and ties her up. And then she's like, what's going on? And you think it's some kind of sadistic thing. And then he's like, don't you see? And then it's like they pass along almost like an STD, but like a ghost virus.
Yeah.
So to speak. But how the ghost is, I think, is very interesting. how they portrayed that ghost, it's not like, Casper the Friendly Ghost. It's just, it looks like a normal person. Well, in the beginning, and then it kind of progressed to something more strange and weird, but
yeah,
it starts off like that. But what I find more interesting, even more, is that, you know how you see a movie and it's like the ghost and then no one can see it. It's like, whatever. But these people can't see the ghost who aren't infected. However, they can see whatever the ghost is doing, some type of poltergeist of it. And I find that's scary enough, because they're trying to help. Her friends are trying to help her, but they can only do so much. So definitely It Follows. It's on some type of whatever you're Netflix or whatnot, but it is creepy. I would recommend watching that in complete darkness. There is a lesson to that, but the ghost could be anything. I find that genius.
Right,
so,
right.
That's mine.
That is actually one of my favorite movies. I'm so happy it's on your list. I remember I went to go see it in theaters with a friend. Well, kind of friend. Sometimes when you meet like a new girl and it's like, okay, let's hang out, see how it works. She said that she liked horror movies, but she didn't have a good time, and I was just so hooked. She kept on like getting up and going to the bathroom, and it's like, girl, like, you are missing out, but yeah, that movie is completely terrifying. I love the fact that you don't know who it could be. It looks like a regular person. It could be anybody. So sometimes, even when I'm like, well, not now because COVID, but when we used to be out in like crowds, when you see someone, you never know. You never know. And then what's always ingrained in my brain, okay, well, there's a couple of scenes. One with the neighbor across the street with his mom. Like,
oh yeah,
ew.
That was like, it was unexpected. It was completely unexpected when she was knocking, and then he opened the door, and then you didn't think that was gonna happen, but it happened.
Yeah, that was just terrible. And then even with the tall guy that just came through the door.
Oh, yeah. The guy on the roof, too. The guy on the roof, as she was I was like, whew. It's a great movie. It really is. And they're not ghostly either. They look like physical form. And that's what's really great about that. Mm-hmm.
Love that. And I see some people, like earlier, they were mentioning about the score, like the film score.
Oh, yeah.
It's like perfection.
Somebody said Ghostbusters 2016.
Well, it's paranormal. So
It is.
It is. So, okay. So my next
three.
one. My number.
No,
next
four.
One.
Are we on four still? Three, right? Three?
Yes,
okay.
It's three.
Okay. See, I already forgot.
So this one, I'm kind of cheating again. I just feel like I just cheated, but you know what?
Okay.
We're friends, so it's cool.
It's cool. It's cool.
Okay. So I'm gonna go with The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
So
is that on your list?
No, but it's good.
Okay.
No, it's really good.
This one, it is a paranormal, but it's also a supernatural, but it's also even a body horror. So, you get a little bit of spice in your life. And I remember hearing about the movie, and I was like so excited about it. Even when I did something that I normally don't do when watching a movie, I watched the trailer, which isn't bad.
Yeah.
I just like to go in like, blind. But yeah, like from start to finish, you're hooked. And it actually creeped me out. So I'm going to tell you a secret. We're all friends here. So around the time when the movie came out, I remember I rented it on VOD. And I think that this was probably around like maybe December, or maybe it was Thanksgiving. I don't remember. But I was working, and so I was sitting in my cubicle. I was the only one there because everyone else, they were like living it up, but I was working. And so I decided, you know what, I need to have a little holiday cheer too. So I decided to put that movie in. And Yeah, like it was just so I watched it obviously during the daytime, but it still creeped me out because this movie is just so sinister. It just has such a darkness to it, and it's so bizarre, and honestly it just makes you feel uneasy. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like honestly 50 years, 60 years, I feel like this movie is going to be considered a classic
Mm-hmm.
because it's that good. And something I thought was really cool, I'm not going to try to say the director's name because I'll totally butcher it, but something I thought was really cool is that he was inspired by James Wan's The Conjuring, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what actually made him want to, direct a horror. And I love the Conjuring series, and not that I'm trying to compare the two, but I feel like he took with this movie, The Autopsy of Jane Doe, it's honestly a different level of scariness because you know how it is as a horror fan. You watch a lot of stuff. After a while, things don't really scare you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that I watched this alone, on my little cubicle during the daytime, I was scared. Like I was like really scared. But I remember telling everybody about it, and I'm so happy because it's really easy to
Yeah.
watch because I believe that it's on Amazon and it's still on Netflix. So
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. I'm gonna have to be honest here. When I watched that, I got confused. I was a little confused because I was trying to figure. Oh, see, I don't want to give it away. I feel like if I say that, I'll give it away. So I'm not gonna say anything.
well, I mean, okay, well, yeah, the movie to me is
Because if I tell you why I was confused, that's the whole movie.
okay. Okay, well, we'll have to talk after.
Yeah, we have
Like,
to talk after. But I did get it, but it took me a minute. It was one of those, after I watched it, I had to sit there and just like,
yeah,
okay,
like I'm not gonna lie, like same thing because it's just like again, when I say it's such a dark movie, like even
yeah.
like the no spoilers here, it's just from the start to the finish, it's very dark,
Hmm.
very just sinister, So we'll talk after.
But that's a good one. That's a good one, though.
Yes.
Let's see here. Well, are we on 3?
Yeah.
What?
3.
I keep, as soon as you say one, it's like, oh, the next one. Okay, number 3. I have to write mine down.
No, I have mine too. So
Okay, I was like, wait, what's number 3 again? Okay, number 3 for me, another fun one. I think it's so fun. I think it was funny. And there were a lot of ghosts in this one. So 13th Ghost.
yes, that one is so good.
Oh my goodness. I saw that in the theater too. I had a ball with that one. It wasn't scary for me. I think it was more, it did have some little, it had some jump scares, it had some jump scares, but I find it really interesting fact that the way of the story, because once you watch it, you're like, okay, there should be another one. Like I want to explain. So basically, you have this family and they suffered a traumatic loss, from their mother died in a terrible fire. And, medical bills, things like that, the struggle. And you meet, they get an opportunity to, hey, live in this really cool house, made of glass. However, there's a sinister act to that.
Right.
And their uncle, not too sure,
yeah,
but
uncle, yeah.
is a person that captures, ghosts and stuff. And he needed them to stay in the house for a reason. And in the house, locked away at the basement, you have 13 ghosts. And these are not any kind of ghost. You can only see them with some special glasses, but these ghosts, most of them, I wouldn't say most of them are creepy. Other ones is kind of like, but there are a few, you have to see it. The torso was just, I think the torso for me, was it. Because when it briefly showed it moving and it was just a torso.
Yeah.
And to me, I think the torso was the worst. But, I actually, what I did, I had to get all their names. because their names are long. I'm not going to give you the descriptions. I'll be here forever. But there are 13 of them, and I think the great child and the dire mother was just sad. I mean, some of the stories, if you could look them up, I would say watch the movie and then look up the stories, because it actually gives you what they are and where they came from. But you have the withered lover, the angry princess, the torn prince, and sometimes their names don't match with what you're seeing, because I think the story behind each one is what's important, but they don't give it to you enough. And you actually want a part 2. Like you want, okay, explain. So, I'm waiting for Shudder or Netflix to have a series of how we see each one of them have this accident. So, like a Miracle Horror Story, where they have you meet the dire mother and whatever, and then you see what happens, and it just overlaps and meet each other. They really, really do need that, because that alone is the most interesting. And they, when they're in the house, it's kind of booby trapped. You have the greedy lawyer, and he moves things, picks up something and takes off, but then it sets off a chain reaction of this booby trap and locks everyone in there, and you got to figure it out. I love Raw Digga in it. She was like the comedy of it. I love her, and I had a chance to talk to her when I did
Yes, I watched that.
Oh,
you did
cool.
So great.
Oh, thank you. She's awesome. I remember her rap days. Oh my gosh, she was lit in her time. In her prime. She's still great now, but when she came out with Busta Rhymes and that whole crew, it was like Raw Digga. But when she did that movie, it was packed. The theater was packed, and she was fabulous. I thought it was like, we need more movies. And when I did that panel, she explained why, and I won't get into that, but definitely watch 13 Ghosts. It is a remake from William Castle, who also did House on Haunted Hill. So watch them both if you can. If you're not into the whole black and white thing, then stick with 13 Ghosts. The current one, it's worth it, actually. Yes,
absolutely. And you know what's cool too? Like that house was beautiful.
It was.
It didn't look. Sometimes it's just like, okay, I'm not living. It's clearly haunted, but that house was gorgeous.
It was. I mean. The architecture of how they did that house was so awesome. Most of it was probably CG at that point, but just the ones where they were interacting with, it was beautiful, very elegant. What I did love is the scriptures all over. It's like, what are these symbols? What is that? And each ghost have their own symbol. So whoever thought of this really thought it through when they made this film. So,
and
definitely.
I agree with you. That's exactly what we need. I would love to have like a series on just like the ghosts and everything. That would be awesome.
I'm surprised they haven't even did it. But I think it's coming, because it's one of those, if a show, 13 Ghosts, I think if they were able to do it, I believe it's one of those shows that it's a hit or miss.
Right.
It has to be really good or it'll be really bad. It won't be like, this movie's okay. It really has to capture each character and explain how they got that way, and I think overlap each other in some form, and then end of how they got captured in some way, and their importance, but hopefully.
Do you have a favorite ghost?
See, now I gotta look at it.
Okay.
I gotta look at the names, because it's like people like the Hammer, the Jackal. Yeah, those are like the the juggernaut. You know what? My favorite. Okay, it's the torso.
Yeah.
I think the torso. It really. It's the torso. That's
Yeah.
the first. When I saw it moving, when it escaped, that was the only thing that scared me.
Mhm.
All of them were creepy, but it was just the torso.
No,
So.
I definitely get it.
Did you have one?
It switches sometimes, but I have two. The jackal.
Okay. Oh yeah,
That
the jackal.
that's nightmare fuel right there. You know, it was just so violent. Like, why are you so angry? Like, you know, like the other ones were like really upset and like, you know, but this one was like angry, you know. There's that one, and then did you call it like the tortured princess or the
the angry princess?
The angry princess. Yeah, like it's just the way she just started scratching on that girl's face. Like,
Oh yeah.
you know, I know we're all horror fans and people say, yeah, if I was in a horror movie, this is what I would do. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. If that were me, I would not survive. I would die. I would fall over. I'd probably just try to cover my face, but I'd probably just have a heart attack and die. Like that, I can't. That's why even when I think about like zombie apocalypse and people's like how they're ready for it, I'm not. So, you know, I just know that I won't survive.
See, for me, if I got stuck in that house, as soon as I knew there was a ghost, I would have found a way out. Point blank. There ain't enough anything that could hold me. I'll be like, I'm out of here. Forget that was it. As soon as I put those on, like, you know, Maggie did, Raw Digga's character, and she was like doing all this, and all of a sudden, I think it was the hammer. Was it the hammer? And he like, you know, he's like, what is he doing? And then, you know, the other guy put him on, let me see. And then it's like, oh, I hate when they do that.
Yeah, no.
He would have been standing there alone. He would have been standing there alone.
Oh, gosh, I love Matthew Lillard so much. He's the best.
Well, somebody said the Torn Prince. The Torn Prince. The Jackal is violent. You should do one about violent ghosts. You should do a YouTube about violent.
Yeah.
You know, that's an idea there. Uh-oh.
I'll give you a shout out.
Yeah, why are you so angry?
Because, like, it was just like, you know, I've just never seen such violence before, you know? It was shocking.
I know that was pretty terrifying. When they were dragging her away and it was just...
Yeah, like you felt bad for it, but that's what I mean. Can you imagine if a ghost was dragging you away? Like, that's right. It would just be my body. My spirit would have left. Like,
you would have been the 14th ghost.
There you go. And I would have been peaceful. So
okay, so we on number 2.
2.
Yes.
Okay. So this one, it has mixed reviews, you know. It's a Blumhouse movie, and I really like Blumhouse. I know that with their movies, sometimes it could be like hit or miss, but I'm going to go with Jezebel. So it's also kind of like it is paranormal, but it is supernatural, but it is like a gothic horror, and gothic horror is my jam. So that's why I had to make sure that one of those, you know, they were on the list. But basically, it's about this young woman. She moves back home to her, she moves back to her childhood home after an accident. And it's really sad, like what happens and everything. But she's really just trying to like move forward. She's in a wheelchair. Like it was that bad. She lost her baby and her fiance. I believe he was her fiance. He died. And it's just, okay, it's not a spoiler because it's in the trailer. Not that anyone said that, but it's just, I just felt like I was giving too much. But yeah, so anyway, she encounters while at her, you know, at her childhood home, this tormented like spirit that does not want to leave her alone. And again, it's just one of those movies where it's just like, if you have not seen it before, just watch it. Don't watch the trailer. And I know that it's on Hulu and it's actually on Tubi for free. And I watched a lot of Tubi in my life. So most of these movies I think I'm saying or sharing with you guys, I believe that it might be on Tubi.
Jezebel.
Yes.
I've never heard of it.
Oh.
Oh, no. That doesn't mean anything. But, you know, there's so many movies I just flipped through. I've probably seen it. Sounds like a very interesting movie. I'm not too big on gothic horror. I think those require a lot of thinking. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's very, well, I don't know how that one is, but the ones that I have came across were very dramatic in their scenes and how they approach, and very, you know.
I know the ones. Yeah.
You know, they're very proper. I mean, those are at least the ones I've came across, and I think close to that, I have watched some episodes of Penny Dreadful, and that's definitely an example of gothic horror.
Right.
But I'm gonna have to check that out. So you're gonna have to make me a list of.
Of course, it is. Okay, so I know exactly what type of like gothic horror you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That might be like the British ones, because I noticed that
I've seen a lot of those.
Yeah, they're very proper, prim and proper, and you know. But this one is very modern, you know, and there are a couple of things where it's kind of questionable, but because of the pacing, you just keep on moving forward. And even with, again, like just with the, like, don't watch the trailer, just watch the movie, you know. This one, I thought there were a couple of freaky scenes, and honestly, it's kind of like you feel for the characters. So, you know how sometimes it's just like, oh, you should have never went in that house. But no, this girl, like, she was minding her own business. So, you know, and that's something that really stuck with me with that. Oh,
okay. For those, there's some people that are trickling in. We're doing top 5 paranormal / supernatural / we're cheating films, and we don't know what each other is, so we're just counting them down. So far, we haven't got the same.
Yes.
Which I'm surprised, but
me too.
It's also learning, because now I learned some movies that I have to see or see again.
Yeah.
So my number 2 is, I've also seen it in a theater. And before I say what this one is, I have to say I have much respect for the director. He started very strong with his films, and then he kind of went this way, and ideas became more controlled by studio because of how big the numbers were. But anyway, so my number 2, I think is the recipe of what is good with twist.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
No, I haven't. No. I was just.
That sounds like you had me hooked. I thought that was
real. She's like, oh my God.
Yeah, what is that?
Okay, I'm gonna say. See, now I'm like, it's The Sixth Sense.
Oh yeah,
The Sixth Sense.
Well, Freddie predicted it.
I know.
Wow, Freddie.
Freddie's the man.
Wait, what was the title that what was it before? What did you say that I thought was the
I said it was the twist. So it was kind of like the twist to tell you about the movie.
Yeah, like
he always had. I know. She was like, "Take my money." The Sixth Sense was, I think, almost a masterpiece when it came with giving you what you needed in a horror film, so especially paranormal. I saw it in the theater. There I go with how old I am when it first came out. And it scared me. But I think this film has such an emotional attachment, and I'll explain to that in a second. But basically, we meet a young man. Excuse me. Sorry.
It's okay. It's important to stay hydrated. So.
Definitely. So we meet a young man, and he, okay, I went too far. I feel like I went too far. We don't meet a young man. We meet an older man, and he's trying to, he's with his wife, and then, someone breaks in, and it realizes it's one of his patients, and something, he's trying to talk him down, and something tragedy happens to him, and, it's just looked like La La Land, and then he meets that psychiatrist, it's like a child psychiatrist who meets another young man, and this young boy is, a little different, a little strange. He gets bullied. He gets treated differently. No one understands him. And he feels, isolated. And he tries to talk to him, what can I, like a psychiatrist, what he can do to help him. And so finally, you kind of see this little boy progress into you see him scared. He starts seeing things, and the communication with his mother is almost non-existent, because you could see that he always wants to tell his mom the things that he's seeing, the things that are happening to him, but how can you communicate with a mom that you're not sure would understand? That's why he would always say, are you mad at me? Or are you mad at me? Tell me how you're feeling. And then you could see how she felt. She's really good at showing her emotions. And so he takes on the abuse from these ghosts and things like that, but they're not really abusing him. They're trying to, talk to him for help. But sometimes the only way that you could get across something is through violence. And it's not treated that. They're trying not to do that, but that's the way they have passed on. It is very emotional when you try to understand what's going on in the story, and then you have the relationship with the psychiatrist, and the relationship with his mom. Then you see the relationship with the kids at school, which is terrible. I mean, this boy is just alone. You feel his isolation with all of that. But then finally, instead of running from the ghost, he actually see what they want, see what they need. And it kind of, you see that they just want someone to listen. And so he uses that to find a way to talk to his mom. Mm-hmm. And that scene at the end, I'm not going to give it away, but that scene when he was talking to her, I bawled in the theater. I could not stop, because I felt like I was him, because I was bullied. I was treated this way and that way growing up. And I understood that isolation. And I think that movie really hit my heart. Not just a horror film, but the relation of, how you feel being bullied, how you can't talk to your parents, how you can't talk to anybody.
Right.
And sometimes you have to use what you know to reach out to someone so they can understand. And I think he found that with that one piece of that puzzle. And he was embraced for that instead of pushed away. Definitely Sixth Sense, I think, is one of M. Night's, one of his best films.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I wish he kept going. I think he did with Signs, and then it just got weird, but we won't go into that. But definitely Sixth Sense, phenomenal acting in it. It is creepy. There is jump scares, and the boy standing in the hallway, here, let me show you something. He turns around, you're just like, oh, yeah. I didn't expect that. But definitely Sixth Sense for me. number 2.
Man, I love the way you explained that. That's
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's like every time I see that scene, I just cannot keep the tears away, because I'm that boy, when I was little, because I mean, not to get all emotional, but my dad died when I was young, and I always wished I was the mom able to say, "Are you proud of me?" And when I saw that, I was like, I want that. But then again, I don't like ghosts. So I'm not sure if I'm ready to hear that. Maybe I need a young man to tell me what was said, But definitely Sixth Sense. Sixth Sense is number 2 for me.
That's a good one. And I was thinking about picking that one, but because a scene that actually always stood out for me, and maybe this is like something super small, but it like freaked me out, with the little girl.
Oh, yes.
And stuff, and it's just like, that's so horrible. Was it like her stepmother who was making? Oh, spoiler. Was okay.
Okay, stop.
I was gonna spoil. Okay,
was that her step? Okay, she didn't give nothing away. No.
I just said stepmother.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. See, these are kind of movies you just can't say much because you're giving them away.
But that scene hurt me,
That was,
it was just rough.
Yeah, and then the sister, and you're just like, well, geez. And the way he found out, it was like, wow. And she's just there doing her thing, and and everybody's just stood. And I like that he made everyone see it, not just the dad go in a room somewhere. It was like, oh, my daughter left me something, let me watch it, and everyone saw what happened. It was just like heartbreaking.
Ooh, yeah.
Fair.
But it is. If you haven't seen that movie, please do.
Yes, in the dark. Well, then he says everybody not everybody's seen the film.
But I mean, even if you... Oh, no, go ahead.
No, because he says everybody pretty much knows the end of the movie. Yeah, but you'd be surprised. There's one person probably in here never seen it.
Or even if they do know the ending, you should still watch it. Like, it's the perfect time to watch it.
Mm-hmm,
so
definitely. Mm-hmm.
So I was going to do a recap of the movies. So number 5, Jamie Marks is Dead. Number 4, The Frighteners.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Number 2, Jezebel. And number 1, number 1 is from Argentina.
Wait.
Okay.
Oh, I think I know what it is.
Yeah, you probably know.
Okay, but don't say anything. Let me recap mine. Okay. So, just like you, I got to read them. So, number 5 was House on Haunted Hill, the remake. Number 4 was It Follows. Number 3, 13 Ghosts. And number 2, which I just did, The Sixth Sense. So now we are at number 1, and I think I know. but if I'm right, it is really good. So
yes. So this one's from Argentina, and this is one of those movies that I watched because one of my sisters suggested it to me. I have 3 sisters, and sometimes we'll have like movie night, especially with all this stuff because what's going on, and they're all in New York and then I'm in Florida, so we try to like have like movie time, and we're very serious about our horror life. And one of my sisters picked this out. So the movie that that I'm talking about, Terrified, 2017.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was good.
So good. So it is paranormal, but it is supernatural, but at this point, surprise. So basically, strange things start to happen in a neighborhood. like stuff that you just can't explain. Why these people didn't move, I don't know. It wouldn't be me. So basically a doctor who specializes in like paranormal, along with like her colleagues, and then she has there's also like an well, he's kind of a police officer, but I think he's about to retire. They decide to investigate this neighborhood even further. So we mentioned this earlier, you know, I mentioned this earlier to you about how as a horror fan, we all watch like a lot of horror movies. And at some point, things don't really scare you. This movie scared almost the life out of me. So I live in the middle of nowhere. Like I always tell people that. No, I do. There's a forest in my backyard. I should pick up the phone and show you, but it's like dark outside. Literally, there's like a little forest in my backyard. So there was one time, there's a particular scene that will forever haunt my life. Okay? And I was already feeling like super nervous because this was like around, I want to say 2 a.m. 2 a.m. one night. This was like after I watched the movie, long after. I went downstairs and my husband's still sleeping. And, you know, I'm not gonna lie, my house is kind of spooky. You know, it's a spooky little house. But I went downstairs and my kitchen is kind of set up similar to a kitchen that was in this film. So meaning there's a sliding glass door. We have like the blinds and stuff, but again, it's like, it's directly facing like the backyard. So if I opened up those blinds, I won't be able to see what's out there, but whoever's out there would be able to see me, right? So I was feeling like really nervous because I was in the morning, like I think I had like a 9 a.m. appointment to get like my wisdom teeth removed, you know? And, you know, so it was just like, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get my snack on. And I went downstairs. I was sitting at the table and all I could think of was that particular scene where someone is tapping on the glass and what we see as the viewers. And I swore to you, like, well, I swear to you that I thought that I heard someone tapping on the glass. Listen, Terrified is so creepy. It made me sleep with the lights on, okay? And I remember, like I said, I watched this like on like FaceTime with my sisters. And then also I was home alone in the dark. Don't do that. Don't be like me and do that. Seriously, from the start to the end, it's amazing. And I love the fact that they kind of use like practical effects, but they use some CGI. I think like the special effects designer, I think his name is Marcos Berta. I don't really remember. I feel bad because I feel like I'm always talking about this movie and I'm always talking about the effects. And then I did hear that there's going to be an American remake with the same director. And I'm really hoping that they still just stick to it. Like, because at this point, I know that we can't stop them. We can't stop them from doing remakes, you know, and I don't have a problem with it, but it's just like, please guys, please scare me again. Like, that's all I want.
But it's like perfect. It's like, why?
Right. Right.
But that movie Terrified. Okay. Yes, it is creepy. But nothing, okay, of all the scenes I've seen, nothing was creepier than the kitchen scene with the little boy.
Yeah.
That right there, I would have gone.
Me too.
Gone. There's nothing to talk about. As soon,
right?
I mean, everyone was trying to leave. The mother, she was just distraught. And and you know what, I love the pacing because it didn't show you right away. It was like steps.
Right.
Guy gets a phone call. He drives him over. He gets out. The cops. You meet the lieutenant or captain, and you see the mother sitting on this sitting on the couch, and then they talk a little bit. It's like a slow, and then once you go around the corner, and even when they get to the kitchen, it's still slow. They still didn't show you, and then you see it. You're like, what the?
Right?
What?
It is.
And you're waiting for it to do something, but it's the anticipation. You're like, okay, something's gonna happen. Come on, hurry up, and it doesn't. Like, it doesn't for a while, and then things happen, and you're just like, whoa, okay, this got me.
Yeah,
definitely.
And it's crazy because it's like I've met like a couple of people where there's some people where they're like, oh man, this movie's so great, so scary, they're like me. Then there's other people where it's like they don't feel the same way, and that's fine, because that's the joy of being a fan of something, and that's the joy even with horror. What scares you may not scare me, vice versa. And just on top of that, it's just kind of like, I highly recommend, if you haven't seen this movie, just to check it out. I believe that it's streaming on Amazon. I don't know if it's on Shudder anymore. That's when I checked it out, it was on Shudder.
I think it's still on Shudder because we watched it. I don't know when you watched it, but we watched it recently. Me and my boyfriend watched it, I think, last week.
Oh, nice.
So it might be still there on Shudder. It is definitely worth it. Shudder original. And they're dishing out some good stuff, but that one, it was way different. Way different. So, I've already recapped, but hopefully everybody remember, because I don't want to do it again. So maybe I should just do it just for the hell of it. So mine, if you're just coming in, or like you don't remember either. My number 5 was House on Haunted Hill, the remake. Number 4 was It Follows. 3 was 13 Ghosts, and number 2 was Sixth Sense. My number 1. Hopefully this works. No, I can't see you.
Okay, I am so annoyed. Let me try with my other.
Wait. I just saw you.
Oh,
there you go.
My gosh. Okay. Oh.
Okay. Oh. Oh my goodness. Was it facing the other way?
No, I don't think. Well, it probably was. Oh my God. I mean, from the internet. It's the internet's fault.
See, we had to do a part 1, part 2. So.
But wait,
definitely.
Just as you said, like, oh, we might cut off, my face was like, because that's how it grows.
I was like, okay, I never went this long, and I was following the time, but I got so caught up I didn't pay attention, because usually, I was going to move it along, and then we start talking a lot, and I was like, oh shit. Excuse me.
And I'm over here blaming. Wait, let me see. Hold on. Let me just see something. Oh my God.
So it was. Wow. So it's a user error. I mean, this is like hilarious. I probably did mess my makeup up, laughing so hard.
That is embarrassing. Like, I was ready to, like, you know what? This old Instagram. And it's I'm so sorry.
Okay. Before they cut us off again. Okay, my number 1, before I got cut off, this movie I love it. I love it. It's actually the number 3 movie that I love in the entire world. I relate to the characters so well, and hey, you gotta love it. But anyway, The Conjuring.
Yes.
The Conjuring. I'm sorry, that movie is fabulous. I love the pacing. I love the pacing's great. The acting is really good. The effects, though, I mean, you believe what you saw. It wasn't cheesy, wasn't, over the top. It was very simple. They used sound very well. So The Conjuring, basically it's about this family that moved into this house in the middle of nowhere. And, you know, they start experiencing some creepy things that goes on in the house. And like most people, you would think, well, let me pack up and leave. But if you are a family of 7 and you invested everything you can, sometimes you cannot leave. So these activities, paranormal activities that are happening, they get more violent and more scary. You know, they reach out to, you know, one of the most famous Ghostbusters, Ed and Lorraine Warren, for help. They come and check it out, and they realize, you know, it's always buried on something. It's always something. And they do more investigating, becomes more violent, things start happening. And then it starts revealing more of the story about Bathsheba and the, you know, what really happened on the premises. But the sound in the movie, along the soundtrack, is just creepy. Very, very, very simple story. I mean, we've probably seen a story. A family moves in a haunted house and things happen, they search for help. I mean, that's so original. But how it develops is you see the level of violence this ghost is, or whatever they are, or whatever it is. It's not just one, it's many that are stuck in this house. And what I really loved is that the first thing the mom said, oh, we got to get out of this house. I mean, she was like, no, it's time to go. And he's like, well, we got so much, you know, invested in this, you know, I'm with her, let's go. But definitely very good. Just the whole atmosphere, the story, how it, you know, even, you know, they threw an Annabelle in there. I mean, there's so many things, but the scene in the basement with the mom and they're trying to do what they can to save her was creepy. That was creepy. And it was a little longer, but it was good pacing. But the part that got me, which I'm not going to give too much, just in case people haven't seen it, was when the underneath the house scene, you know, that part when, you know, Lorraine reached in and touched her head and just said, you know, you said they mean the world to you, and so far. It's like that scene, and then you see the memories that she carries. So it helped her do what she had to do. But every time I see that scene, I start crying. I don't know if I'm just so invested into the characters, but I guess it goes deeper than that, because I've been in a place where it's like I felt like I was in a dark place and I couldn't escape. And what helped me escape was the memories of the good times I've had. Right. And I think we've all experienced that in something. When things are not going right, or things are not working, and, you know, especially as a YouTuber yourself, you probably, you know, mistakes, things happen, and you see them, and you're just like, oh, you know, like, it just don't work right. But anybody who's worked with anything that you really invest your time in your family and your business and stuff, and things don't go right, we all have that moment where you just that dark place. And I think it's not just a movie about some kind of ghost. It's just, it really gets you there to think, like, what can you do to get out of it? And you have the memories, you have things to help you fight those inner demons. And because when I was watching, I was like, well, she wasn't like too far in the dark place, because, you know, they always say you're suppressed and it, you know, things could get in. But I think just if you remember the stress and strain of, you know, having a large family, just buying a house, got to take care of the family, and then he goes on, you know, because he's a truck driver and whatnot. So that probably would brought her down a little bit more than just being, you know, non-religious or whatever you want to say. But definitely The Conjuring, if you have seen it, please watch it. It's really, really good. Definitely worth the time. Yes. The Conjuring. Definitely.
Well said. Like, yeah, it is such a great movie. Like, genuinely creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, what do you do? Like, I know people is like, I'm gonna leave, but it's like, seriously, what do you do when you don't have any place to go? Like, where are they going to go? Especially with they're 7. You know, so it's like, what do you want to do? I mean, they can go to a shelter, they can go to a friend, but it's just like, do they even know anyone out there? You know, back up in the car, and it's just until they can try to sell the house. So, I mean, I felt like they did what they had to do, you know?
Yeah, and I thought so too, but then remember when she said, oh, they done latched. They just latched onto you. So no, wherever you go, it's just latched now, and it's like, well, you got to stick it out.
There was that creepy part that always I think about, like, when I'm going to sleep and I look at a dark corner in the room. It's like, why do I do this to myself?
Oh, yeah.
The little girl, she's laying down and she just sees something, but we as the viewers, we don't see anything. It's just darkness, you know? Like, that kind of reminded me of like a Japanese psychological type of horror, like A Tale of Two Sisters. So that was like, because, you know, it's just, we're not seeing anything, but they're playing with our minds, and just great job.
And I love that we didn't see anything, because you've seen a lot of films, we see the creature, the people in the house don't. But I like how she was, you know, pointing, and even I was like, I don't see anything. You know, I was trying to focus in the corner too, but, you know, was there something? As she slowly looked, it makes you want to see, you know, you're like, does she see anything? And then it just shuts the door, and then, you know, it is what it is. Great film. So, oh my goodness. And you know, in spite of us getting cut off and come back, and then, you know, some minor errors on a, I don't know, her camera.
Yeah, it was like this.
So you guys got a little bit of comedy there. So definitely this was fun. This was so fun. Surprisingly, none of our top 5 matched, which was great. I'm surprised. We did have some close honorable mentions that you said, but other than that, this was so fun. We definitely have to do this again sometime.
Absolutely.
And I hope that you use that idea of, you know, angry ghost. I hope to see that soon. That would be really hilarious. And I think you could definitely pull that off, because there's some angry ghosts.
There's so many now, and some other ones are coming to mind.
So awesome. I really do.
Thank you again for the invite. Like, you have my cheeks hurting for laughing too much. You know, it's nice always just talking about horror and being silly. So, and thank you to everyone for watching and, you know, commenting, supporting. You guys are so awesome. And you're awesome too.
Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing more of your YouTubes, topics, fun topics. Check her out. The real queen of horror. She has a Twitter, Instagram, website. This girl's everywhere. Definitely check out her YouTube, Real Queen of Horror. They're funny, and they're interesting because you don't think, as soon as it pops up on Twitter, I'm like, sneaking zombies? I never thought of that.
I just went through a binge. I was watching a lot of zombie movies, and then I realized, like, wait a minute, you know, what are you doing?
So until next time, thank you guys for watching, and you have a great one, girl.
You too.
Zena, you're awesome. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.